Hello and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, hi, you're very welcome. This is Reading the Past and I'm Dr. Cat. Now, in previous videos, I've mentioned how much I enjoy reading portraits and paintings in the way I would a text, and today's video is no different. Today, I'd like to look at one of my favourite paintings from the early modern period, The Ambassadors by Hans Holbein the Younger. Let's have a look at it. Hans Holbein the Younger was born in Germany in around 1497. He is, I would say, arguably the most famous and influential artist of his generation. Through his elaborate and beautiful work, even his sketches, we can come eye to eye, face to face, and see the very humanity of his subjects. They are kings and queens, princes and princesses, the flowers of the nobility from the courts of Europe. In the last decade of his life, he seems to have been exclusively connected to the English court, and it's while there, in 1533, that he paints the Ambassadors. As I talk about the Ambassadors, I'm going to be showing close-ups of various parts of the painting and also the whole image. But if you want to see this live and in the flesh, and I recommend that you do because it is startling and wonderful, you're going to have to come to London and go to the National Gallery. Go to room 4 where this painting is on display. I'm also going to link a video made by Susan Foister, who works at the National Gallery, and she is talking about Holbein's Ambassadors. Particularly, she's looking at the techniques that Holbein used to create it. As I mentioned, I'm reading this picture as text, she is reading it as an art historian. But what she and I agree on is that this is a complex and contradictory image. And I think that that is perfect, because it was painted in complex and contradictory times. 1533, the year that this painting is dated to, is a tumultuous time in England. It is the year that Henry VIII marries Anne Boleyn, having divorced himself not only from his first wife Catherine of Aragon, but also from the Holy See of Rome. 1533 is also the year that the Princess Elizabeth, who would become Elizabeth I of England, is born. The two men depicted by Holbein in this image are ambassadors from King Francis of France. On the left, we have Jean de Dinteville. He doesn't seem to have been particularly happy about this time spent in rainy England. He would far rather have been back in his sunny lands in France. But here he is, and it is believed that he is the man that commissions Holbein to paint this image of himself and his very good friend, George de Selve. At this point, George de Selve has just been made Bishop of Lavaur. He is only 24, too young even to be consecrated as bishop, which perhaps explains why he is featured in this beautiful brown fur-lined gown. It may look plain, but make no mistake, it is very expensive and sumptuous. Both men are finely and elaborately dressed. However, I think it's very important that we don't just look at the luxury that these men enjoyed and think, well, their lives are conflict-free and perfect. Because in 1533, the year when this painting is made, England and Europe as a whole is experiencing division and strife, conflict and confusion, as Lutheran sets themselves up in opposition to Roman Catholic. The Holy Mother Church, the sanctuary that these men would have grown up in, is under threat. It is splitting down the middle and people are taking sides. And I believe that against that backdrop, we can read this image more fully and understand all of the elements far more clearly. So now I'm going to start with my close-ups, looking at this image as the text I think it can be read as. Let's start reading this image from the ground up. If we look at the floor on which these men stand, it is a cosmati pavement. Many argue, and I agree, that it is designed to represent the floor in Westminster Abbey, which was laid in 1268 on the order of Henry III of England. Significant work restoring this floor has been made, and it took pride of place in the wedding of the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge. I'm going to show you the floor as it looks now. As you can see, there are a series of concentric circles. It's meant to represent divine order, the perfection of the spheres and heaven. This floor has played a principal role, not just in royal marriages, but in every coronation ceremony since. Even when covered by carpet, this has been the spot on which the kings and queens of England have been crowned. Moving up from the floor, we come to two shelves, and the objects on these shelves are arguably the things that create the most interest in this image. It is these shelves and the objects on them that have created fascination for generations. On these shelves are objects that can broadly be split between things to do with the earth and things to do with heaven. The lower shelf has the earth objects and the upper shelf has heavens. If we start with the bottom shelf, working from left to right, we see a terrestrial globe, obviously to do with Earth, a compass for finding where you are on Earth, unsurprisingly. We then also have things that are of earthly concern, music and entertainment. There is a lute and a case of flutes. However, cleaning this image showed up new details, and as we can see, the lute has a broken string, and one of the flutes from this case is missing. Next to these instruments is a hymn book. It's a Lutheran hymn book, and it's open to a hymn to the Holy Spirit, perhaps invoking a force that would unify a church that has been riven by schismatic divisions. Also on this lower shelf is a book of equations aimed at merchants. It is held open by a ruler. The page which it is held open to is the page on division. The objects on Holbein's lower shelf and the way he has chosen to represent them highlights his sense of discord and disorder that is being experienced on Earth due to the split between the Lutherans and the Roman Catholics. What is interesting to me is that it doesn't seem like this work of art, either because of the artist's intention or perhaps the sitters, is coming down on one side or another. Yes, there's a Lutheran hymn book on display. It's in front of a broken lute and a case of flutes with a flute missing. It's on a shelf where a book of arithmetic shows division. Is Holbein painting an image that puts the blame on the Lutherans? Well, perhaps not, because the Lutheran hymn book is open to a hymn that arguably is seeking to invoke a force that would bring back unity. Is Holbein perhaps representing the opinion of Georges de Selve, who in speeches called for the Lutherans and the Roman Catholics to come together, to find a way to come to peace? He is not castigating the Catholics or the Lutherans. He is saying we must find a way to work together. Is that what Holbein is representing in this lower shelf? Let me know what you think in the comment section down below, because I'm not sure myself. And that's what I think is so fascinating about this image, is that it can be read in so many different ways. And that is equally true of the objects on the top shelf. As we move up to the top shelf, the shelf that deals with the items of heaven, we encounter cutting-edge instruments for measuring time and studying astronomy. These are objects that are designed to map the heavens, to be used to navigate your way across the seas and perhaps across land. They are used for telling time and the date. We see a celestial globe and a portable sundial. All of these items are found resting on a Turkey carpet. And as I mentioned in my discussion of the full-length portrait of Queen Catherine Parr, which I'm going to link in a card above, placing people and things on Turkish carpet in this period connects to the European tradition of painting the Virgin Mary and Child on Turkish carpets. Putting objects and people on these carpets connects them to the divine. And that is, I think, what's happening here. These are celestial measurement objects being placed on a Turkish carpet. They are about measuring heaven. But much like the objects on the lower shelf, the items on the top shelf also defy one single reading. Of interest to me is the fact that the clock faces don't all line up. They don't tell the same time. Similarly, the navigational items appear to be improperly calibrated. It doesn't strike me, even if he was rushing, that Hans Holbein the Younger would make such a mistake as that. Arguably, he could have had access to these very objects to look at. We believe that Jean de Dinteville, as a keen astronomer and navigator, had some of these objects. Also, moving in the same circles as Holbein is the engineer Nicholas Kratzer. Holbein isn't making a mistake, he's making a choice. But if all of the times are out of whack, and if the navigational items are misaligned, what is he saying? Is he saying that the divisions on Earth are somehow infecting the heavens and creating chaos and confusion? Or is he saying something else? Should these items be read in a completely different way? Let me know what you think about that also in the comment section down below. To explore the elements of this double portrait that has created the most discussion, column inches, confusion and arguably conflict, we have to go back down to the bottom of the painting. This object, that before cleaning people had suggested might be a cuttlefish bone, this strip of black and white and grey. After cleaning, someone decided to look at this painting from the right and below, and this is what they saw. An anamorphic skull. It is unreadable when viewed straight on. It only works from below and to the right. So does this mean that this painting was designed to be hung somewhere incredibly specific by Jean de Dinteville? Did he tell Holbein what position his painting would first be viewed from? It is a memento mori, a reminder that we all will die. Julia Wolkoff, in an article on artsy.net from the 17th of August 2018, also points out that this anamorphic skull obscures part of the Cosmati pavement. It obscures one of the orbs, perhaps even Earth. Is Holbein pointing out the limitation of human vision? That we cannot gain proper perspective on our lives because we are always focused on death and the life hereafter? Or is it alternatively a reminder to forget earthly cares and think only of your eternal life? Is this an object designed to invoke fear in its viewer, to remind them that their time on earth is fleeting and their salvation is not assured? Perhaps. But then there is a sliver of hope, for as we move up to the top left of the painting, behind the curtain, partly obscured, is the crucifix. It is the promise of life everlasting through Jesus Christ. This faith in the life everlasting, this belief in the salvation through Christ is a factor of both the Lutheran and the Roman Catholic Church. So regardless of the particular faith grouping which any viewer to this painting may belong to, they may find themselves at first confronted by this large memento mori as they walk up from the bottom right of this painting. Then face on, they see the discord in earth and heaven. As they move past, however, and they come towards the left to leave the painting, they are then reminded of hope. The hope of salvation through Jesus Christ and faith in him, regardless of whether you are Lutheran or Roman Catholic. Everything I've talked about today is my interpretation, my reading of this double portrait. I love Holbein's work, and I think that the Ambassadors might be my favourite. Every time I've been fortunate enough to go to the National Gallery, to sit in room 4 in front of this amazing image, I found something else to focus on. One day it's been the way in which the fur has been painted, so realistic that you almost think that a breeze could blow it around. Another, I've been totally taken by a black and gold tassel and the way it's been rendered with such spectacular detail. But perhaps you read this image differently. Perhaps you think I've missed out a key element or component that I haven't talked about, and therefore I've missed the thing that will unlock the meaning. I'd love to hear it from you. Do let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Or you can come and find me over on my social media. I'll be leaving the link to that in the description box. Follow me there and we can continue the conversation. I hope you've enjoyed this video and found it useful. If you did, please let me know by clicking the like button. Please also subscribe to my channel and click the bell icon so that YouTube tells you when I've next uploaded. I hope you're going to have a great day, whatever you're doing, and I look forward to seeing you all in my next video. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye for now.